All right, Kyle, welcome to the pod. This is my first time speaking to you directly. Like, I've had some overlap with you via Arshad, uh,
Right.
and you were actually one of the first people that supported this YouTube channel and the Instagram page. I was just wondering, how'd you get to know Arshad and everyone from like the club event life space downtown? Because we have a lot of overlapping um, relationships in that circle.
Yeah, I guess we share a social circle. Yeah, I see I'm in Calgary right now, but for about 4 years I lived in Toronto,
Nice.
and then I got involved in yeah, kind of like the pickup scene, the nightlife scene, the event scene, and then I was a young man single, maybe like 24, 25 at that time, so it was a great time. Our shot I met last year, or maybe late 2023, just at a party at this AI company actually in Lombok, that my roommate at the time, Lucas, invited me to. And then, funny enough, me and Arshad have the same first name, so we just bond over that. Like,
Okay.
my first name's not Kyle, it's Ismail, and then it's his
Oh,
name too. We just don't use it as our common name, but I was just like, oh shit, you're that guy. And then, yeah, it worked out. And then we lived together for a while. And then I've been running kind of like a business slash freelancing kind of thing for the past like 3 years, doing like dating photography. I
okay.
was doing some social media marketing stuff as well. And yeah, Arshad helped me work with some clients in those fields. So that's kind of how, yeah, I would say we're kind of business partners at this point. We're running like a book club together, which is one of my brands under Royals. And then working on his own thing too with the AI and the automation stuff. So we're, probably going to collab into that into the future.
Nice. I know Royals is you're the owner of Royals Agency, and I noticed on Instagram there's a few different pages for Royals. So there's like Royals Dating, Royals Fortitudo Growth. That's the book club that you started with Arshad. So like, what
Yeah.
kind of first led you into? I know when I've seen you from the first time on socials, it was via like photo shoots at Justin's and like different places like that, and more of the photography kind of niche. So how'd you kind of get into photography in the first place, and then how did you pick the dating niche of photography?
Yeah, totally. I got into photography when I moved to Toronto, and because one of my methods to meet girls was from dating apps. And
Okay.
my dad, turns out, I just found this out recently. My dad has an interest in photography and camera work too, so he actually had a camera, and then he gave it to me when I first moved there. This was in 2020, and then I used to take photo shoots just on a little tripod. Like you could put a camera on the tripod and run to your location
Oh
for
yeah.
5 seconds and pose and take pictures. And I started doing my Instagram. I took a branding course by some. I don't know if you're familiar with RSD, but
Yeah, I'm familiar.
I took a. All right, there's a guy named RSD Luke, and he worked
Okay.
with a guy named Michael Sartain and a guy
Okay.
named Corey Chalif, and they had this like mix of like social media and social circle kind of like branding course. And then I was in the original forms of that, and then they basically taught how. Well, one side of media for dating is like the dating photography stuff, but the other side is building a brand on Instagram, doing photo shoots, doing events, and kind of putting that media content on your page so that you kind of stand out from the other guys. And then that's something that we started working towards. And yeah, we did that. And then, oh yeah, I started hosting shoots and then doing shoots. I started with, doing shoots of models and hot girls. So I was like, oh, that makes sense. Turns out models don't pay that well. If they say,
Yeah.
I'm a hot girl, take pictures of me. I'm like, okay, that's not going to work.
They want free
So guys
photos.
do take money. Yeah, and the guys are usually fine with it too. So unless you go really deep and build your brand, then eventually you can charge or do some other stuff. But I figured, okay, I'm a guy. I did my dating photos that turned out well for me. Some guys started asking me for that as well, so I just started taking pictures of them. And then I've always had interest in different topics. And then I figured out that the dating niche in and of itself is a bit narrow,
Yeah.
but content production overlaps everything, right? So that's why I started my media brand and then have these different channels. I just use them as different distribution channels.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have the dating one. That's my main cash flow one right now. But I'm developing like the Royals Crypto and then Royals Sports. That's actually one of my favorite new ones. Because then I have, I can post different content. I have different IPs I'm working on. I got this new crypto banana concept that I've been fleshing out. I'm going to turn it into an actual like coin and crypto education platform, but I've been using this banana character because now you can just go and chat GPT and like, oh, make this banana, give it a flame jersey and like make it beat the Oilers. So I've been making this like media content for the sports brand and like kind of like cross mixing. So yeah, I'm just playing around different things and seeing what's possible with the content creation medium.
Yeah, I've seen some of your posts with the sports and some of the flyers, the banners. I'm assuming you've created all that yourself or have your own people creating these pieces to then distribute on these different platforms. Like, would Royals be the umbrella platform and then through that you can distribute via your network?
Yeah, exactly. For now, I do most of the stuff myself. When I do more like high leverage stuff, like I have editors that I can pay for different things. But Rose is kind of like the mother brand. And before, my dating brand used to be called Tinder Natural. And then I noticed that when I was doing shoots with clients, like they weren't, sometimes they were happy with the results, but they didn't want to give me like a testimonial because then it kind of implies that, if you're giving your friend for a dating brand, you kind of don't know what you're doing and stuff. So
Yeah,
I changed the kind of the angle towards like personal branding and image consulting. Then it makes I kind of switch it to like high value man wanting to invest in their brand and their image versus just like
I see.
that kind of like a PR move, yeah, too.
Yeah, like one of these things too with the whole dating space is like there takes a certain type of character, like a certain archetype and a certain level of confidence to even like enter this space in the first place. There's like some barrier to entry there. Like I know with um, some of the people I've worked with on different boot camps in the past, like one of my friends is a dating coach, probably know Justin. Um, and I've went in on these boot camps with them and helped him with a few of them. And the first challenge is that 100 approach challenge, which is like you have to go talk to 100 random girls, like, and then basically build up your callus for rejection in a way. So like before you even got to that, I assume there was a mountain of work that you probably did before that, before starting the agency. Like, how did you build your confidence up to the position of like just building a base level for yourself before then scaling to a business and then all these other ventures?
Yeah, it's a great question because there is definitely a barrier to entry, kind of like a mental block, I would say, for
Yeah.
starting any type of business. You have to believe that you can make it yourself and that you can have a valuable product or service to offer the marketplace and people are going to pay you for it.
Yeah.
But for me, I've been in kind of like the dating scene, like studying since I was in high school. So, I just turned 30, so that's like 14 years of like studying this type of stuff. And then, I was doing the cold approach, watching the videos, then I did that in Calgary. Then when I moved to Toronto, I had the opportunity to live/work closely with some of the people that were doing it. So, Justin and Lucas, who was a club promoter.
Yeah, Lucas is good
Few
too.
other people. I lived with Lucas for like probably 2 years, so that taught me a lot too. And then me and Lucas started a business around it actually. That was
Yeah.
the first time. Well, I guess I started doing photo shoots on my own too. That was the freelancing stuff. But we did start like a collective business. It was 4 people. It was me, Lucas, Jamie, and Azzy. You might know Jamie. He does like the fashion shows to this day. Jamie Boy Entertainment.
Okay.
And then Azamat's a photographer too. And Lucas is the club promoter/dating coach. And I was kind of like the community manager, and then that sets the structure of the stuff together. So we did a few seminars and did stuff like that. And for various reasons, that business kind of like we all went our separate ways. And then I kept doing the dating photo shoots, doing stuff like that, taking clients, and then I got an opportunity to move to Calgary to work with a client basically on personal branding and events full time. And then that's kind of how I rebranded the agency. And then I wanted to do some modeling stuff because we used to do some photo shoots with, we would invite like 15, 20 models, get a studio, host a shoot, and it was a lot of fun for everyone. But I was like, okay, what's the next step above from that? Well, we need to find some kind of vehicle to get paid. So I was like, okay, fuck it, let's start a modeling agency.
Yeah.
And then the more I looked into that, the more I realized it's kind of like it's an industry that lacks a lot of liquidity. Like there's not a lot of money in that industry.
Okay.
So if you talk to any model, very tough for them to do it full time and for many years. That's kind of how I pivoted to like more the content production influencer agency, because then you go into video production and marketing agency, and then there's a lot more money to be made in that field.
Okay. And I want to put a bit of a tech twist on this topic, which is you talked about personal branding and content creation and the marketing, and you've done it for the models. So let's say someone comes to you from, let's say, a tech background. So a lot of these guys are very introverted people. So even me, like right now, I've said this in all my interviews. It's like even in order to have this conversation, it took a long time of just building up the callus. So like it started with Home Depot, right? Like I was like, hey, I was just going up to every customer I could talk to just to like build the muscle of talking to people in the first place. It wasn't even about women or like dating or anything. So like building that up, building a certain level of confidence, then the personal brand. So like let's say someone comes to you, software developer, very introverted. He wants to portray the image of like a confident engineer that wants to get a role. So he wants to create a business page. Let's say he wants to do a LinkedIn, an Instagram, and a website. How would you go about guiding him or her to set up their profile in a way that displays a certain level of character that they're trying to portray for that role?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because personal branding can be used, yeah, for the dating side, but also for the professional side.
Yeah.
I kind of see it as almost like online lead acquisition. Like for either way, you just have to identify your target demographic and what you're trying to do. So for example, in this case, if you're trying to build some kind of brand to impress or look good to a headhunter and then just upgrade your career to get a better role, then I would do little reels and videos, kind of like case studies, showcasing different projects that you built or different apps, or like I studied a bit of game development. Like so,
Okay.
for example, if you're software in that video game kind of design thing, then you would build something that just takes 1 or 2 weeks and then kind of showcase it, and then you can do different things depending on your level of expertise and how much interest you have in this content production. Like you could start a whole YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Like you developing different stuff, but that's more of like a entrepreneur path, because then you would try to build an audience and sell something to them. If you want to keep and do that corporate kind of like ladder thing, then I would focus on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, you can also post like articles, you can post videos on there. I would assume that's the best platform for that. And then Instagram a little bit, you can, I don't know if you know, like there's guys like the Tech Lead and other people that have brands that are based around like coding and that type of stuff. So that's actually, especially nowadays with I would actually definitely recommend that, because over the next 5-10 years, I don't know how much you talk about automation and AI on your pod, but that's definitely something that's going to come into play.
Yeah, for sure.
Perhaps a lot of people, especially people that are not too motivated or too, because you can be entrepreneurial even in your job. Like if you're, there's vibe coding now and there's stuff like that. Like if you're not up to date and trained on that, like I think you're going to be left behind. But if you showcase yourself using that, maybe thinking of novel ways to do that, then I think you'll be super valuable to an employer. You'll be able to get like ridiculous raises. Like I know some guys that are early 20s, they work in AI. I know a few Toronto University of Waterloo graduates and they're like 23, 24, making like 20K a month with like being a junior AI engineering now. So
yeah,
there's like a lot of great opportunities in that world right now.
Yeah, like I know what you mentioned with Tech Lead and them. I know one of the first guys in the space that kind of did a bit of a hybrid was John Sonmez from Bulldog Mindset. He started off like in tech, fully in the engineering space, software developer, and then he went into like dating and coaching, and then like the masculine essence and all that kind of stuff. And then so that was like one of the early adopters of the like personal branding kind of thing. And I think today, like even in the age of AI, it's like if you want to be in any role now, you need some level of marketing in your own personal niche, or your own personal page or LinkedIn or brand on your own,
100%.
like as a separate person. And then like everything else is just auxiliary, because like it's like, how do people need to know who you are? And then with AI, I think the dangerous thing that a lot of people overlook is that humans aren't really viewing people's resumes anymore. It's like it's all being automated. So like the only way to kind of get your face and like someone, let's say you're the employer, like in order for you to see me, I'll need to produce either some sort of content piece, some sort of blog, something that you can put a face to the name. Like I feel like, what do you think about all the AI like being infused to like every portion of the business? Like how would that even affect like photography and things like that, like with imaging and video and content creation, things like that?
I think for me, I'm super excited, but for a lot of my competitors, it's definitely scary, because basically what's going to happen is it's going to devalue the labor part of it a lot.
Okay.
So taking the actual pictures, like we're getting pretty close to the point where I can ask a client to just take pictures of himself in good lighting, and then just put that in an AI app, and then it'll post him a bunch of pictures, like now he's in Paris, now he's in Dubai, now he's here, and then it becomes more like a nuanced process, right? Because if the AI can do that, then my differentiation as a service provider in that context will be like being more performance based. Because if anybody can generate those pictures, we're not here for the art, right? We're here for the online lead acquisition. So that whether that's on Tinder or on Instagram, like that's my specialty. So for
Yeah.
me, that's not too big of a concern. But for other people, yeah, you have to basically get closer to the value pile. Like if you just, um, for example, a guitarist, right? Now
Okay.
that you can ask AI to write you a song, like, does that mean that musicians are useless? Like, no, I don't think so. I think now they're going to be focused more on like maybe more the performance part of the job or the networking part of the job, getting the gigs, the contracts, the business side. You talked about software developers, so I think there's two sides of it. One side is the soft skills are becoming a lot more important, being able to go to networking events and job fairs and just trying the employer getting jobs that way, because the labor part of it is going to become more commoditized. It's
Yeah.
going to be one of 500 other developers, or you could just triple down on like the hard skill and just learning how to code AI for yourself. Right now, there's a huge opportunity for the next couple of years where you can build local agents, like local AI machines for businesses.
Yeah.
And that's, once again, that's more like the entrepreneurial side, but all the big businesses, whether that's oil, energy, finance, anything, like a lot of them have sensitive data that they can't trust OpenAI or ChatGPT with, so you can build their own AI platforms, and that just operates as their kernel, like their whole, what do you call that, their software and their servers and everything.
Yeah.
So people that are more business minded, it's kind of like the new marketing opportunity or marketing agency opportunity. You can become like a AI service agency and then make a shit ton of money that way.
Yeah. And how would you go about, like, so let's say, I would say right now, AI is kind of like the great equalizer. So like, I heard like Ty Lopez as well saying like using AI in general just like gives you a 20 IQ bump, a 20-point IQ bump. So it's like everyone has access to all these tools. Everyone has the ability, like you said, to make music with AI, to take photos with AI, to do all these different things with AI. How could you build leverage when everyone has the same tools? And how would you be a differentiator in that regard?
Well, just look at it in terms of like, we've already had Google and YouTube for like, 10, 15 years, right? So every human already has all the knowledge of humanity. Do you walk around with a bunch of super educated, enlightened people everywhere? Like, no, people
Yeah.
don't care. They don't look into it. They're lazy. They have mental blocks. There's a lot of productivity skills that, and mindset skills. For example, a lot of people maybe have resentment towards AI, and then because they're resentful, that makes them scared, so that makes them avoiding using it every day to train themselves, and then they'll be left behind, right?
Yeah.
So I think differentiating yourself, it depends on which part of the industry that you're in. But yeah, we'd have to talk to Lee. But once again, it's about having that kind of like personalized and decentralized power. Because, for example, starting a business, kind of like you being able to extract value from the economy in a decentralized way, as if you're an employee, that you're doing you're basically doing the same thing, but in a centralized way. So there's difference. For example, me as a photographer, like it's not just about like knowing the lighting, taking the pictures, and editing it. It's about like I have to shoot my own ads, I have to post my ads, I have to do my I have to book appointments for sales calls, I have to take sales calls, I have to close, I have to deal with that, like edit pictures for the client, do like client success, like follow up on sales. Like it's like 12 different skills,
Yeah.
So I think self-awareness is a huge key. I'm a big fan of stuff like that MBTI, like personality test, to kind of see which skills you naturally have.
Which one's yours?
I'm an INT, I'm an INTP.
Nice.
So I'm actually introverted, so usually that's not typical for someone in like the lifestyle and event space. But that makes it. But turns out to host an event, really you're in your room and like plan and invite people and stuff like that. So the actual event is only like a few hours. Whereas somebody like that's more of an extrovert, like I could never be a club promoter, just don't like going out that much. I like to go out for like 30 minutes, an hour, maybe 2 hours, like if I have the best time ever. But I'm not gonna go 3, 4, 5 times a week, like 6 hours.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy. But meeting those people, I was like, okay, this is a cool industry to be in, and which is my unique way to make that happen. So yeah, self-awareness and self-knowledge and understanding your skill set is super fucking important.
Yeah, it's like I think as we progress in the conversation, like the things that are really sticking out to me is that the soft skills are really, really increasingly becoming more important with AI. So it's like it's not necessarily how much content you can put out. It's more of like, is your work ethic still good? Because like you said, Google and YouTube have been out forever. Is your ability to plan events, like you said, on paper, it says Kyle's the photographer marketing agency guy, but it doesn't talk about the closing of sales. It doesn't talk about like all these like soft skills that like people overlook, but are crucial to a business, right? So it's like your ability to collaborate with people. Like I what I wanted to also kind of understand from your side, because I was on the club promoter side, but you were more on the photography and like event creation side. So it's like there's like a bit of a symbiotic relationship there. Like there'll be people that can host the event and we're really good at hosting the event, and then there are people that will bring in leads. There'll be people that will are good at talking to others during that event. So like, how do you go
Yeah,
about with collaboration using these soft skills? So it's like I feel like collaboration, if anything, is going to be a very very important skill in 2025.
totally, man. That's a great question. You have to find, from the self-awareness, you find out your own skill set, and then you find other people that complement your skill set. And then one of the best tips I ever got in life is actually from RSD Owen. He talks about whenever you go somewhere, whether that's a restaurant or a club or a library or the street, just try to analyze the business model of that location and how the pieces kind of fit together. So if we break down a club, for example, a club is all about, like, it's a high churn kind of like system, right? So a lot of times clubs lose money, they don't make that much money. You
Yeah,
have to have the infrastructure, you have to invest like probably a couple to like 10 million to buy the venue and host that space. And then your promoters and stuff like that, they're part of your marketing team. So they go and bring the people and stuff, and then you have the infrastructure, and then you have your different tiers of customers. You have your average dude, you have your hot girl, you have your spender that buys the bottles and stuff. And
spenders.
each of these kind of like, yeah, spenders are important because basically because I've been doing this kind of like for the private client. We're trying to recreate a club on our own terms. So bringing the girls and find a way to monetize and stuff like that. Whereas in a club, the club already has that. So you just have to pay them like, 1, 2, 3K to buy your table and your booth. And then they put you in the top location in the city with the girls and stuff like that. So it's kind of like finding where you want to be in that system. And yeah, collaboration is hugely. A lot of the group businesses that I've had so far have kind of fallen apart, basically because of communication issues.
Yeah,
When you're frustrated or when you hit a roadblock, you have to kind of like drop the ego and fight together against the problem. It's kind of like a relationship, If you start bickering and do stuff like that, it falls apart. And also, once again, self-awareness and self-knowledge, right? People have different goals, people have different stuff they want to accomplish, people have different energy levels and timings that they want to do things in. So being able to, it's almost emotional intelligence, being able to understand where the other people or your team are coming from, and then also being able to recruit other people to your team. I think everyone should have a kind of team in life, like whether that's like your boys team that you kind of pick up girls in your social circle and youth or events and stuff like that, or whether that's your entrepreneur team that you're building to like get paid, or whether that's I think the problem with a job is kind of it's a team that you don't have control over.
yeah,
You know,
that's a big thing.
I'm sure you've had a bad boss, bad manager, bad coworkers and stuff, and when you own the business, like it's a lot more effort, but at least you can kind of get rid of those elements and do
Yeah.
it on your terms.
Yeah, you get to kind of pick your own team, I guess, like and who you get to collaborate with, and that's another big thing. So it's like what I noticed as well is there's like leverage in creating win-win scenarios with people. So like with all this collaboration, like you said, when groups fall apart, it's usually because someone feels like they're not getting something out of a relationship that they would like. So how would you go about creating win-win scenarios, and like how would you advise someone who is trying to create their own group or formation of people to work with? So let's say, hey Kyle, how could I create a group where everyone has the opportunity to feel like they're getting value out of it?
Yeah, I think there's a few books that you can read on that. I think 40 Laws of Power is a phenomenal book.
Fantastic
People
book.
don't really understand, but people think it's about like manipulation or power, but a lot of it, there's one that's like, there's a law that's like, don't appeal to people's like mercy or something, like just give them value basically. And it's true, when you try to recruit people for a team or on your thing, like don't do it, don't try to, a lot of people just subconsciously try to use it emotionally, but if you're win-win just means that, transactionally, for example, you go to McDonald's, you buy this $4 burger.
Yeah.
But if you try to make your own burger in the wild, there's no way you can do it for $4, dude. You'd have
Yeah.
to hunt a cow, like, grow mustard out of thinner, grow bread, like it would cost you thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Tens of thousands of dollars to make this one little burger. But you're win-win, you're transactional. McDonald's has built their business in a way that it's profitable for them to sell you this burger at $4. And then you're hungry, you're lazy, you don't want to cook, you buy your $4 burger, everybody's happy, right? So I would think about every single human relationship that you have in that context, and what does the other person want? What do I like to do? There's like there's a triangle. I forget. It's like what do you like to do, what you're good at, and where do you want to go in life? What are your goals? And you try to align these three things to, kind of shape which kind of person you can collaborate with. For example, like if you're an Amish dude in Utah, like I don't think I can collab with you, bro. We have different goals, we have different vehicles that we're using and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But if you're a hot girl trying to make money and being a model, then perhaps you can work with my agency. I can help you with the crypto stuff. We can make money together at a great time. A lot of male guys, I find, like Arshad, for example, we have similar goals. We both like to read books. That's why we ended up collabing on the book club.
Fantastic.
And then we both like to do events, but not too much. So we're not like, degenerate popping bottles, but we're kind of still into that, nightlife adjacent field. So, me and Arshad have good talks on politics and stuff like that. So we're able to, grow projects. So I'm excited to do what we're able to do in the future. And I think starting with your friends is a good place to start, actually. And that causes a lot of problems usually, doing friends with business, but those are really important problems because those are kind of like frictions and mental blocks that are come up with other people just on different timelines. And if you can't make money with your friends, and the only reason you hang out with them because your job sucks and you need to drink together at the end of the week, then are they really your friends? Like,
yeah,
that's somewhat like coping buddy. I posted on my story, there's 3 type of relationships you can have with people, like codependent relationships, independent relationships, or interdependent relationship. Codependent is like 1 + 1 = 0. Like just, think about like a toxic couple that just screams at each other.
Okay.
But they're scared of being lonely, so they don't break up with each other.
Yeah.
Independent is 2 people that kind of go together and have aligned goals, but it's kind of like 1 + 1 = 2. So it kind of works, but nothing too crazy. But interdependent, that's really where you find people that you have similar goals, similar values, similar things you like to do, and then they say 1 + 1 = 11. You just multiply each other in a productive way, and then, to keep it simple, like with the boys, guys that you can find, cool girls to chill with, and then a lot of money, and then you travel the world, have a great time. That's basically what I aim to do in the next few years of my life.
That's awesome. Yeah, like I kind of met Arshad through the actual like street promoting thing. So like I remember when he first started doing street promoting, I was actually on the team that was training him to do that in the beginning. So like I would actually walk with him on the streets, and then we would like do cold approaches. I'll be like, all right, you go approach this girl right now. And then he would challenge me back. He'd be like, you go approach this one. So like we would kind of have that symbiotic relationship. We pushed each other to kind of be better. So it's like I didn't have time to rest because I was thinking about getting better. He didn't have time to rest because he was thinking about getting better. And like that just raises the overall bar. And like if you scale that to a group, like the bar of the whole group just goes up. So it's like you said, that interdependent relationship, everyone kind of has their own thing going on, but at the same time, it's like you could still have some individuality as well. And it kind of benefits everyone to have that like back and forth of like, I'm here for the team, but like I'm also working on myself. And it's like kind of like that, like one of those atomic things where like there's one main group, which is like that proton, and all the electrons like bounce around it kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. RZ Luke used to call it like the U Army.
Okay.
People that you're going to battle with, basically in life. So, for example, if you look at it in terms of this like club promotion thing, it's like, one dude has the venue, one dude has the pimped out Instagram and get a bunch of girls. The dude maybe has money to buy like, food and drinks, and together you have this really cool setup. And there's people that just are not going to be interested in partnering up with you. There's some people that really are going to be down, and there's some people that are going to be down but just offer no value, and then people are at different stages in life. Some people have, they're motivated, but they have mental blocks, and they have to go through that on their own, But some people are ready and willing to make great stuff happen. So with those people, yeah, let's conquer the world type thing.
Yeah. I want to get into a little bit of a controversial topic. So I'll give you 2 scenarios. So there's one would be a scenario of a person just comes up to you. How would you know whether you want to form an independent relationship with that person? And then the second scenario of that would be, what if someone is not someone that you would like to work with, but they offer so much value that it'd be almost very, very hard to not work with them? Let's say they're also interdependent with a bunch of your other personal members of the group. So it's like, and you can't just cut them off. So it's like, how would you A, discern character, and then B, how would you work with someone that you might not even get along with, but they bring so much value that it's almost undeniable to work with them?
Well, one, cutting people off, even if they have a lot of leverage.
Okay.
There's a concept called your top 10 values. So, for example, a lot of men, and especially in this alpha male thing, like
Yeah.
they're cool, they're charismatic, maybe they have good money, but maybe they're super manipulative, and maybe they got some dark treads and are narcissistic and a bit toxic and sociopathic. Like, I've met some characters like that, and I don't associate with them.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how much value they bring. Like, I just think, like it's gonna cause trouble and I rather believe in myself rather than believe that I don't think I need anybody else really.
Awesome.
I think depending, especially in the world of AI, bro, like you're gonna have AI agents working for you 24/7 soon. So like this is the most independent time in human history. But there's on the flip side, once again, like what do they say? If you want to go far, go with a team. If you want to go fast but not as far, go solo.
Yeah.
So there's pros and cons to both. I think, I'm at the phases in my life where I'm really focused on my business and what I'm trying to build, so I don't really have time to hang out with random guys that don't do much. So that's where I find where then some of those guys can become clients, and we can have like a purely transactional relationship if you like what I have to say, and then this amount of money, and then I have some time, then we can do that. And then some other people then maybe have more skill sets or more along the path that I want to take, and then we can for events together, or they can work in my company. Like I have with my brands, I can work with the different type of stuff. So for example, Arshad doesn't work on my crypto brand right now, but
nice.
He works with me on the book stuff. So we don't need to every single person walk on every single thing together, but as long as there's some value that you can, it's almost like extracting value from the other person, not in a really like weird way, but just like if you and me hang out together, will good stuff happen, yes or no?
Yes.
Some people that if you hang out with them 2 weeks in a row, like you can literally tell like your life will go bad. You'll be homeless, or your buddy that drinks way too much. You're like, dude, like I love you, bro, but I can only hang out with you once a month or some shit.
Yeah.
Different friends for different occasions, But there's some people that if you hung out with them every day, you would probably become rich and have a great time, So obviously try to spend more time with those people and try to build something together. And the other people like try to help them. And a lot of times people have kind of like this, almost this like resentment and recoil. So sometimes if you try to help somebody, or just run the wrong way and you'll just like pull apart from each other. That happens too. That's happened to me with a few friendships before. So just know self-awareness once again. Know your path. Know what you're trying to get out of life, and then go that way. And whoever is also going that way, then partner up, kind of like a guild in a video game or something, and then once again take over the world, man.
Yeah. I noticed like everything is trending entrepreneurial now. Like there's almost no escaping like you having to kind of run yourself as a business. So how would you go about, I know we talked about tools, we talked about interdependence. Like how would you talk about personal time management? I feel like even now that I've entered the content space and I'm like cutting up clips, that's like a few hours a day sometimes. Filming content is time. Actually building things is time. So let's say I'm coding out a project from scratch, right? That's time on its own. So it's like, how would you go about like managing your time, and like do you use any tools for that?
Not so much tools, but maybe methods. Like
Methods.
I'm a big fan of the Pomodoro method.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I use that too.
Kind of like you work for give or take 25 minutes, and then you take 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes break. I'm not a guy that can work like 4, 5, 6 hours straight. Some people can, but I like to kind of like do that, watch a 2-minute like a song or something, then get back to work. So that's like a great method. And then also breaking down tasks in like basically impactful order. There's a great book on that. It's So Good They Can't Ignore You by Cal Newport.
Okay.
And then he has another one, Deep Work. I haven't read that one. But basically, your brain is going to try to be lazy and just do the most fun things. So a lot of times, let's say you're working on your business, you can do 12 different things. One of them is watching YouTube videos about business. One of them is maybe designing some of the things. Usually the ones that are the most impactful are going to be the most friction, like doing sales calls, for example. I tend to procrastinate doing sales calls, but how else are you going to get the money in?
Yeah.
So you have to either force yourself to do it for a certain amount of time each day, or right now I'm building a sales team for my business, so basically find other methods to make yourself the most efficient, the most time a day. And then realistically, I don't even think you need to work, like, the more you work, the better, but a lot of people, they don't do that much each day, so even if they do like 2 or 3 or 4 hours of like intentful work on their business or their side hustle each day, like that's huge, man. That alone in a few months will take you where you want to be. And talking with people, a lot of people are going to give you ideas. Some of them are going to be good ideas, some of them are going to be bad ideas, but, try stuff out, be a scientist. Sometimes people tell me, oh, just do one thing, don't do 10,000, 20 brands. And I'm like, I tried that for a while, and then I just got bored, and then
Yeah.
I didn't work on my brands. But when I do different stuff that kind of intertwines with each other, then I'm an intellectual. I like to be intellectually stimulated. So if I know a little bit about crypto here, then do a crypto banana post, and turns to my sports brand, then learn a little bit about that stuff. Now I learn a bit about content creation, and then I force myself to do a few sales calls every day. And then I write the script and build the SOPs for my other sales team. So there's always stuff that you can do, and different energy levels that you're going to have throughout the day. And you got to learn yourself and know how you get the most impactful work done.
Yeah, I kind of took a similar approach to you with my career path. So it's like I started out in electrical engineering, and then I did love it, but I always had that passion for software. And I saw like a video from Naval, and he was saying like the best way to kind of get into this entrepreneurial mindset is to productize your own life. So it's like I've kind of just quit electrical, like cold turkey. I quit, and then I just fully committed to software. So like jumped into software, worked at 2 startups like for free in the first like few months, right? And then I got hired as like a developer after. But like I kind of committed to the bit, and then so that way all my time now like during the week is spent only doing the things I want to do. So it's like even if I'm at work now, I'm just doing software. I'll be making content about software. So I get the exposures, and then like at the same time, I created leverage by just only spending time on the things I wanted to do. So it's like that way I'm not really forcing myself to do something I don't like. So it's like I kind of get the best of both worlds in that respect. So that's kind of the approach I took with that, yeah.
You got to work on your strengths, sometimes on your weaknesses too, but usually the most impactful stuff is going to be doubling down on your strength. So for example, with my sales issue, right? So I could either, instead of doing sales, I could just have a funnel, like a buying page. That's a bit difficult. There's a lot of friction with that. So I can either hire somebody to do that for me.
Yeah.
I'm working on that. Maybe in 3 or 4 years, there's going to be an AI agent that does sales for me. Phenomenal.
That'd be nice.
But, until then, I've been forcing myself to do it. But like to be great at sales, you kind of do it. Got to do it hours a day, every day. And I don't really want that to be part of my lifestyle. So I'm doing that a bit here and there, but I'm spending the rest of the time working on marketing and funnels and the online lead acquisition, which is part of sales, but it's just not the one activity where you have to, get on the phone and hop and close someone. So you just have to understand how the structure of the business works and where you get money. Like for example, Elon Musk does sales for Tesla, but it's more like branding and shaking hands and stuff like that. It's not like hopping on the phone and clothing each distributor. Like he has different people on his team accomplishing different things, and then that works for him, and I'm sure for you that's going to be different. I'm actually curious, what was your experience working in these startups, and what were they trying to accomplish, and how did they end up faring?
Yeah, so like I started out, so I did like a hybrid approach. So like before I completely left electrical engineering, I took like a sort of hybrid role. So I started up like building up some knowledge. So I did hardware and software hybrid in that role. So like I was kind of gearing myself up with some knowledge base. Then I got in talks. So I kind of just did a lot of cold outreach. So I kind of just decided, hey, I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid off. Went on vacation with my dad for a bit, actually to Ireland and Scotland for like 2 weeks. Came back, and then I'm like, all right, I'm all in on software. So I started out making a landing page to attract attention for these startups. So I catered it similar to how you mentioned. It was like show a bit of project work that would show not like everything, but like enough to demonstrate skills in certain areas. So I'm like, okay, I can do front end project on here. So a website, web page, a back end project. So I did like some hardware, some scripts that I wrote. I did some security. So people are like, okay, this guy knows how to do like authentication, things like that. So I started building up some skills and then putting it on a place where everyone could see it in one spot. And then on top of that, I had a blog going on as well. So I was trying to slowly add my own blog posts that I built myself. So I built the blog using Notion, and then I integrated it with my website. So like one of the nice things with this was I turned basically my resume into a portfolio project, because everything on that resume was like a living piece of software that like someone could just go to and be like, oh wait, this website, you built this, okay. The blog, you built this, okay. All these projects you built, and they can click on it and go to it. So that kind of put my name out there. And then with my LinkedIn connections, I kind of started cold DMing these startups. So I started looking up on LinkedIn. I'm like, okay, This guy's got a social media startup. So one was a social media app called Peak Two, and this was based in France. So they're doing like some proximity based social media platform, and they wanted to like outcompete like Match and like all those different types of ones. Like there's like Tinder, Match, all these have like some sort of proximity based feature, and Peak Two was like one of them where yeah, they wanted to like kind of get more people into more of a social aspect to like not use their phone as much. So it was kind of an events based like sort of social media app. So I did some mobile development with them for a bit, and yeah, it was pretty good. Like I just one guy was in Malaysia, one guy was like in India, one guy was in like the States, some other guy was in France. Half the team was like in Korea, including the CEO, who's a French guy.
Yeah.
So like all these different people, and then like in different areas, and we're just all working together um, on different timelines. But like at the same time, it was like everyone had a general idea of what we were trying to accomplish. Right? They have their weekly tasks. We had a weekly meeting. Everyone had to show up and like update everyone, and it was very, very. I'd say in the startup environment, it's very performance heavy. So it's like everyone's expected to carry their weight, or it's like you're cut. It's like it's very cutthroat in that respect. And then that kind of transition. Yeah. Do you have any? You said something, or
Yeah. I said I love that because when I was a photographer, I used to work with a lot of people in the corporate world.
yeah,
And some of them would tell me that like they work maybe 2 to 3 hours a day because these big corporations are so bloated. For example, a guy worked in e-commerce and he worked for his e-commerce company 2 hours a day, and then the rest he worked in his own e-commerce company. So I think the fact that in a startup environment you don't have that much, you can't afford to just pay people to do nothing.
yeah,
But then that's where it's a meritocracy in it. And I believe right now any person can become a millionaire or a billionaire. Like it's the best time in history. But you have to be serious and you have to be good at what you do. You have to be world class. Well, that could be all learned from YouTube. I
yeah.
don't even believe in going to school. Like I'm a high school dropout. Like I didn't go to school. I just fucking learned stuff online and just did it. So for the motivated and capable people, I think the sky's the limit. And if you don't want to do that, hopefully UBI from the government is going to save you. I wouldn't cross my fingers. Looks like there's the people on the street, they're not getting saved today. Probably not tomorrow also. So, but save ourselves. We have the power.
I love that you mentioned a lot of the skills you had were self-taught. So like, let's say you dropped out of high school, but you were able to learn things online. So the next thing, this is also going to be kind of controversial. So a lot of engineers have a stigma against this. It's the unpaid internship. So for me, like those startups that I just talked to you about, the first two I did unpaid for the first few months, but I was able to get my foot in the door. Like the way I look at it personally is like this door was not open for me in the beginning. But because I did this free internship, the door now opened and I'm allowed inside, right? Like what's your take on a person doing free work in order to get enough exposure or experience? Is that in your mind, is that like slave labor or some stuff? Because like some people consider that being slaved away. Some people consider this like I do. It's like, okay, a door wasn't open and now it's open. Like how would you categorize an unpaid internship?
I think they're really good, man. And I think the people that are saying it's slavery or whatever, they're stupid because technically you're actually a business owner today and you can actually decide your salary. There's a market where you can decide. I can decide to pay myself 1 billion today. Where am I getting this billion from? Where my clients have it.
Yeah.
So if you don't have any skills, then you need to accrue some value. And once you can accrue some value, you can basically demand it from the marketplace. That's why I don't need my high school diploma or my university diploma because I have the skills and I can just run an ad. An ad costs nothing. It costs like $2. Costs anything. And it's just you talking, pitching somebody. So if right now, I'm filming an ad that is filming my iPhone and I say, hey, this is Kyle. I'm filming these photo shoots. Buy them for me. Otherwise, your life's gonna be fucked. That's basically an ad, dude. That's basically
Urgency.
how any ad.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you can't do that right now, then you need to learn from somebody that's doing that. And especially because of AI and automation, the value of labor is going to go down to zero, to literally zero, I believe, like 1 cent per hour worker. So you need to find basically expertise, kind of like an asset. It's kind of like the difference between an asset and your Canadian dollar. The asset has the value, the dollar is just a representation of the value. So your job title or whatever is just a representation of the value that you have. And because the labor is going to zero, you might as well learn something super important. So right now, any kid, if you're 21, 22 watching, you can, especially now, a lot of people are entitled a little bit.
Okay.
A lot of people are trying to do big things, and you can. There's there's a lot of startups, like for example in Toronto, that could use free labor right now. And then you're working with the startup people, and then you're not like shackled to them to work for free for 6 months. But if you go and you work for them for 2 months or for 2 weeks, a month, 2 months, and you see what it's like, and then you talk to them, and you can kind of pitch that guy to pay you any day. Now
Yeah.
you're working with this new CEO that's working on his app, and then if you really, they call it Lynchpin. There's a book called Lynchpin by Seth.
I read that book. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I just read the description. It basically talked about being invaluable, right? Like be invaluable to the organization or society. So if you're not invaluable right now, then learn to be. And whether that's on YouTube, YouTube is hard. It's just theoretical knowledge. It's always easier to learn from people and you see them what they're doing. So, I learned from Justin, the stuff on business. I heard him do sales calls and do a bunch of stuff. I learned from Jeff today, who's the entrepreneur that I work with, who's building, close to $100 million business right now. And I'm learning how he thinks about scale and issues like that. I worked with Lucas on the club promoting and how he would, sometimes at a party, he would host an event and then nobody would show up for a while. So he would not give up. He would keep going, keep inviting people, keep DMing, and then usually it worked out after that. But then you can see in real time how that entrepreneur person manages his emotion.
They find a way.
Sometimes it's just exactly. And to see that in person, a lot of times, I would totally do that for free. And then know yourself, I would not intern for free for like a bakery company. I have no idea. I have no interest in working for a baker.
Yeah.
But I would intern for free for Mark Zuckerberg, for Bill Gates. Like if the guy is worth it, then I'll totally work for free. I would still work for free today, dude.
Yeah. See, that's something that I think sets you apart from a bunch of the average people that don't get to move up and wonder why they don't move up. It's like, with all the successes you've had in business, you would still be willing to work for free to learn a skill that you do not currently have. And I think a lot of people, I think that's where the entitlement lies. It's like, all right, I didn't have a computer science degree. I had an electrical engineering degree, right? But in order to get the software, like I needed something to show for it. And like, if that free internship was that path through that door, like I was like, all right, I'm doing anything I can do to get there. Cause like, if this is something that I really want, like I have to do something that other people won't do in order to get leverage and then get over that mountain.
Yeah. And if people think they're too entitled with their time, like they think their time is worth that much. But if you think about it, if your time is so valuable, then when you're on the weekend and you're not working, you should make more money than when you're at your job.
Yeah.
Otherwise, your employer would be obviously you can't do that. So really what's useful in a business is like the system that extracts money from the economy. And usually you can't do that unless you've tried it. Like I said, it's just you talking to your phone, telling somebody that you're going to sell them a random object or your time, and then they're going to pay you. But anybody that's employed right now can try it. Just try on the weekend. Just try calling random people, pitching them stuff. And
yeah.
It's actually not that much more complicated than that. Just type on YouTube how to come up. Alex Hormozy doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like $100 million offers.
If you got a job.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great book, and dude, that book's free. Or you buy it at Chapters, it's $40. You download it online, the free audit, it's free. Knowledge is free these days, so
yeah.
I think people have no excuses. In my opinion, I think we will get AI UBI eventually. I think it's a good thing. And I think people that are motivated to crush it and learn even more will become superhuman and buy up all the assets. So I think it's going to be win-win for everyone. But like I said, it's not like that today. Like, if you want to put your life in the government's hands, good luck. I think it's going to work out for you short term, maybe long term. I think long term is going to work out. I believe world government is going to be great eventually. But, maybe we'll have 5, 10, 15 years of chaos and madness. So prepare yourself against that. That's what I do every day.
Okay, as we're approaching kind of the end, I kind of want to ask you a bit more about two things. So first I want to ask about letting go. So like things about a venture that you're in, and then when do you know it's time to move on? So for example, you asked about the first startup, right? So I finished with that when I moved to Lyric Chief. So this was an African music company based in Toronto. So they do African music company. So what they do is they have a bunch of African songs, and then on the lyrics of those songs, they have the annotations. So they explain basically what every phrase means, and they teach people that want to learn more about African culture and African history. So one of those guys, I actually ended up cold DMing him. He went to my university, but I'd never met him before myself. I just cold DM'd him because I saw he had this company. I'm like, hey, do you need a developer? I can do front end to a massive degree and I can get you up and running fast, right? So he's like, okay, we'll give you a shot. Ended up building his website for it. I'll link it to you after. So they still have it up and running. But I built this front end for him, all the architecture on the front end, and they were like really, really happy with it. But the next part was, for me, it was like, okay, like I also have to kind of promote my own stuff now. So it's like I can't give you all this time that I was giving you originally, right? So it's like I've now built a certain level of skills. Like I've also contributed back, but I need to shift my focus. So like what would you say would like not even a process, but how would you go about understanding, all right, I've gotten my value from this venture. Now it's time to move on.
There's a few books that are really good for that. There's one that literally talks about that. It's called The Dip. It's also by Seth Godin.
Okay.
Talks about basically there's a dip at every business point, and either it goes back up, and then you just have to believe and it'll go up, or it'll just keep going down forever, and then it's just dead end basically.
Yeah.
There's many things to look at it. You just have to understand the business model and understand your goals. For example, I don't know your goals, but I'm trying to become like a multi-billionaire. Like I think it's the time to
I love it.
go home. So that's why like I can't run a bakery. Like
Yeah.
like where am I gonna get my billions from? Unless I'm the number one bakery. Like I'm not trying to run any bakeries. But that's why you see me in crypto. That's why you see in media production. That's why you see me definitely these big channels. Because then I can build the enterprise value to scale up. I'm starting a clothing brand pretty soon with my partner. We're doing a lot of different things. There's also the book The Lean Startup by Eric Rice.
Oh yeah, I read that.
Heard about that.
Yeah, read that.
Oh dude, that's a phenomenal book. Dude, I read that recently. That helped me so much. I gave it to my buddy who's kind of had like a failed startup type thing, and I'm like, dude, that book will it teaches you basically kind of like a science experiment to test stuff in the least expensive way possible.
Yeah.
A lot of people get stuff with vanity metrics. Oh, I feel good, like that instead of like, oh, is this viable to scale over time? Yes or no. Doesn't matter how you feel about it. Who gives a fuck about your dreams or projects? Like the only way you make your dreams come true is if you can convince the marketplace that they should pay you money to build your dream. So yeah, once again, it comes down to self-awareness and knowing what you want. I like to break the mold and to be free and stuff like that. So I like to do events with a bunch of girls. And then here's a great example, right? When I was talking about building the modeling agency, I thought, fuck. So let's say that let's say there's a model, right? And then I'm trying to sell a new iced tea beverage.
Okay.
And then I take a picture of this model with the iced tea beverage. And then I'm trying to pay the model $500. So then I need to make probably $1,000 with that little picture to be able to, pay that and then have margin and stuff like that. So is that even possible? I'm like, dude, that sounds crazy. Because I ran ads, I'm like, okay, how does that work? So then you have to understand how the economy works, because most stuff is run through advertising and marketing. You have to, there's like a customer acquisition cost, there's margins cost and stuff like that. So you can just like write them this like, it's almost impossible to make $1 billion with a modeling agency. But if I do a modeling agency with a crypto component, with a sports brand component, and I, tub it up, then there's even the liquidity possible, where I have like a multi-billion-dollar even pool, let alone like me making that. But is the industry even big enough for that to even be a possibility? And then that makes sense. And then do I like it enough that I can see myself working on this every single day? Because I think you need to work on whatever you're doing every day to be like world class at it.
Yeah.
Like I was a professional League of Legends player for a while.
Oh wow.
I just played
Okay.
12 to 14 hours a day, and then I became challenger, like top 0.1% in Canada. And
Jeez.
there's nothing crazy. You just gotta go at it hard, learn, be humble, and I think most people can achieve way more than they think they're capable of.
Yeah. Like I literally have on my wall, there's like a little note. I'll even show it to you. It's like, just like do the work. Where's that? So I just stare at this every single day, and I think there's another one here where it's just like, all right, I have like master software development at work, and then it says 1 YouTube video a day, 7 a week, learn programming concepts. So it's like every day I'm like reminding myself when I wake up, it's like, okay, I have to do these 3 things every single day in order to build this level of skill that I'm trying to achieve. So like you said, you spent 14 hours a day. So like for me, I'm taking my 8 hours a day at work. I'm trying to learn new concepts at work. When I come home, I'm trying to learn new concepts. So like we speak to each other as like you're a business owner, right? Like that has a lot of valuable insight, right? So I speak to different business owners to learn like how they market, how they sell, like how they build a brand for themselves. Like over time, maybe not in the beginning, like you start off with a low level of knowledge and skill, but if you do this for like 2, 3, 5 years, like, and over time, like it's just like compounded interest of like all these skills that you learn together. And then I think that's where the creativity to build something kind of just like sprouts out. It's like, okay, I have all these little skills. It's like potential in the seed, and then you just like sprout like one day, and you're like, okay, all this stuff makes sense because you've just been doing it for so long.
100%, man. And so people have unique skills. Like I got paid one time to do street interviews for this company, and then I was doing the video myself, and then ran into this guy who was super extroverted, and then I just had to hold the camera, and then he would go on and talk to everybody, and I was like, holy shit, I can never be like that.
Yeah.
I can hire that guy, so that guy can never build a business. You probably can't sit in a chair and think for 3 hours straight, you know? So find people that compliment you, and then find what you want to do, and then go on and have the best life. Like, you know, I want to take my business, take it global and remote, so I can travel with my team and explore the world and do fun trips, both here in Miami, in France, in London, Dubai, in Singapore, in Thailand, in Colombia. You know, it's a big world, a lot of fun adventures to have. So I don't believe in people having bored, depressing life, working while you're, you know, cubicle doing nothing, you know, or being depressed all day. So best time in history to crush it and make your boss happen. I totally believe that.
That's awesome. And before we end off, I want to ask, what are your top 3 favorite tools to use in your workflow?
I use something called Obsidian.
Obsidian.
Kind of like Notion. It's
Okay.
like a note-taking app, but it's decentralized, so they can't, like, you know, Notion team can see what you write. I'm not a big fan of that. Just ChatGPT and Grok and Perplexity, like, I basically double-check all of my ideas and stuff against the AI. Some people think it makes you dumb. I think they're dumb. Like, I think you should just use the AI, like, as a kind of, to kind of test your ideas and debate and, you know, kind of like, we were talking earlier about finding a guy that are like iron to sharpen yourself. AI should also be a iron to sharpen your steel or whatever. And then
It's like a diamond.
third one would be exactly. And third one would be YouTube.
Okay.
You can learn anything on YouTube, man. You can learn. I believe you can be a billionaire straight up from YouTube. Like never learning anything else. It's just so much valuable stuff. So many millionaires that just learn their whole business model straight on YouTube. Whether that's e-commerce, whether that's content production, whether that's trading, crypto trading, or that's fucking plumbing. Like you can learn anything on YouTube. And there used to be such a funny site, man. People would troll each other online. It's like if you say something dumb, it's like I think it was called. Literally, let me Google that for you.
4chan?
So if you ask, well, no, it was literally called Let me Google that for you.
Oh, okay.
So
Cool.
Dude, what's the top 3 cryptos? Then they would link you. Let me Google that for you. / what are the top 3 cryptos? Because people are too lazy to Google their question. But before you have when you have a question, you should Google it first, then ask AI, then ask a second AI, and then ask an actual, you know, human involved them for the time. But dude, I've been learning finance and quantitative finance. And I'm a high school dropout, dude. I just fucking watch a video, then I question, then I just smoke weed and think about it for hours, take a bunch of notes, and then put those notes through AI, and you can learn anything, man. So I think the sky is the limit. If you want to be a billionaire, I think you can be. I'm not yet, but I think I will be. I think anybody can be. I think the future of humanity is phenomenal, so I'm very excited for, you know, what we're going to accomplish, what the audience is going to accomplish, and what society is going to look like in 5, 10, 15 years in the future.
Yeah, your mindset's like on another level. Like you're definitely like if anyone's on the trajectory to make that kind of stride, I think you're definitely on that path. And yeah, where can people find you, by the way? So like where could people go to, like where's your primary mode of contact that people would go to see who is Kyle Fall?
Yeah, find me on Instagram at Kyle G Fall. Same thing on YouTube, Kyle Fall. My agency site or my royalsagency.ca, or you can find me on Instagram for the agency, royals_agency.
Perfect. If you could stay on for a few minutes, like I just want to talk to you for a bit after. I'm just going to stop recording now, but yeah, thanks, Kyle.